is with Behind Your Curtain, and she works with a lot of my authors and also with many other people on understanding how to implement the social media and really use it in the right way. And so, Karen, I'm so delighted to have you today. And maybe if you can introduce yourself now and give a little bit better of a bio than I just did.
Sure, yeah. And you can see I've come to you all the way from, where do we think this is? Maybe Hawaii or something.
Yeah, it looks like Hawaii, but
yeah, we'll pretend. Yes.
I know it's probably still cold where you are.
It's starting to warm up. I'm in Denver, Colorado, but it is starting to warm up. So I'm grateful for that. So thanks, Becky, for giving me the opportunity to be here with you and all of the live virtual land out there. So my name's Karen Liz Albert. I'm the owner and founder of a company called Behind Your Curtain. And I am a social media marketing strategist and trainer and consultant. And I work with a lot of authors and real estate agents and small business owners. And I help them just understand how to strategically use social media so that they actually can see some return on their efforts. And, a lot of when that comes to authors is just helping them really kind of understand who's the ideal reader and the ideal buyer. And so really crafting their social media so that they're able to get in front of that particular demographics and increase some visibility and reach and engagement and sell some books, right?
Very much. So, Karen, we're living in such a different time right now. Mm-hmm. And it's a time of massive change. I think there's a lot of people that really are kind of reinventing themselves and really discovering themselves in a whole different way. And that's why I brought you on. It's because I feel like social media it's actually been one of my best tools for business growth. Mm. Using it in a way that you share good information and good knowledge, but this is the time to be an impactful influencer, and it's time to step up to the plate and really be there for those that are trying to find their way, because it's a vastly different world that we're living in right now, and I don't think it will ever be the same.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
So
kind of a global reset is what I've been hearing and saying.
It is.
It's unprecedented. I mean, we can all say that there have been some very significant events that have occurred in our history, but I think they've been sort of like isolated in pockets. I don't think there's ever been a global impact to the extent that we're experiencing it now.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's just so different, and I think that the fascinating part is that it is global. It is not isolated.
Right. Right. Yeah. We're all dealing with it. Every one of us. Absolutely. And, it's the internet is feeling it too. I mean, the studies that came out were unprecedented increase in surge of usage and traffic. Facebook is actually feeling the squeeze right now. They're having to actually limit the volume of lives that are being done, the volume of videos that are being uploaded, the size of pictures, and not probably to an extent where the majority of the population would feel that restriction, but it's unprecedented this time. But at the same time, knowing that we have such a captive audience, if you will, and they're all sitting on social media now because millions have been asked to stay home. So it is true, Becky. It's really looking at how do we utilize the tools that we have today during this sort of, trying to find a new normal, and looking at it in a way that you can use these tools to add value. What it's not the right time to do, quite honestly, is to be asking people to go into their pocketbook for you. We're very, people are very just skeptical about what is the economy going to look like after all of this, and the economy now. A lot of people don't even know where their next paycheck is going to be coming from. And so I think how we operate and how we show up during this time is, I think, really critical. And I think we need to show up in a way that shows that we are coming from we want to support and serve and really just kind of use the social media platforms to help the community at this point. And what'll happen is it becomes that it's reciprocal, right? So if you're putting yourself out there in that generous way, people will remember and acknowledge it. And if you're doing it in a way where you're saying, here's all of my knowledge, here's my expertise, here's my skill sets, and you're putting it out there in videos and blog articles and Facebook Lives and, interviewing other people without any real specific, ask at that point in terms of, asking them to invest in you, they're going to make a decision if they want to invest in you or not.
Right.
You don't have to have that ask in everything that you're doing at this point in time, but using things like Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn to really just say, hey, this is my experience and I just want to be able to add value and share it with you. And like you said, a lot of people are really looking at ways, how do they reinvent themselves right now? A lot of people that may have been in the restaurant industry or the hospitality industry, and they don't have a job right now. And so they're wondering, what do they do? And, I think it's just kind of look at, well, what do you love? What are you passionate about? What do you feel like you could possibly do something that, whether it is writing blog articles or doing a short how-to video that just helps, if you love to bake, pull out the camera and get in your kitchen and start just doing, and maybe if you're vegan, like you could start doing vegan recipes and such, and kind of looking, like you were saying, really, can we reinvent ourselves? And I think it's an opportunity for us to really be thinking out of the box.
Yes.
And maybe at the end of all of this, maybe when you've discovered what you really want to be doing, maybe you don't go back to that job and that you were doing in the past, because we sort of weren't really forced, right? Like we are now, into having to look at what do we really want to be doing to kind of survive through all of this.
I agree. And, I've been on I do a lot of live casting like this to showcase both the experts and my authors that I work with to get them the exposure. Yes, to have that exposure, but also mainly as a way to form connections and help people to maybe have a whole different perspective or learn something new that they maybe would have never been able to find out in any other way.
Yeah.
So it's been really, really interesting, to watch what's been happening in these few short weeks. It looks like it could go on for a couple more months as far as the people in general being isolated. But I keep thinking that, our Earth needed a little bit of a pause. But on the other side of the picture, I also think that people in general needed a time to pause and really reflect. And if this had happened 20 years ago, we wouldn't have had all these tools to keep us connected. So what better of a time could it ever have happened, in the sense of that we do have a way to stay connected. We're not so totally isolated. We can get on Zoom. We can connect through email and phones and FaceTime and things like that, where we wouldn't have had that 20 years ago.
No. Yeah. Totally different experience. I agree.
So Karen, what are some of your top tips? Let's just take each platform and have a conversation about the different platforms and tool sets that our listeners can tap into, the simple things that they can tap into to use each platform the right way. So if you don't mind, let's start with LinkedIn. How is LinkedIn strong? How can our listeners use LinkedIn in a powerful way? And what are some of your top tips for LinkedIn? So
before I launch into that, the one thing conversation I just want to have before going into any of the specific platforms is, I think the best tip that I can give to anybody out there is to really do take the time, first and foremost, to think about who is it that you want to be connecting with? Who is the ideal perfect client for you or perfect consumer for you? Because the reality of it is these social media platforms are just marketing tools. And if you don't kind of go to step one, which is, let me first figure out who I want to be talking to, then those tools aren't really going to work for you. So you can't be everything to everybody in the world of social media. And that's really kind of marketing 101, right? You really have to get clear on who is my ideal client. You know, I'll take me, for example. When I started my company in 2010, I was, I'm social media for everyone. And it wasn't until like 4 years ago that I decided to really get focused on who I wanted to put my service in front of, and that's authors and real estate agents. Since I've done that, my business has it tenfold, right? And it doesn't mean that you won't show up in front of those other potential demographics. What happens is your brand starts to become so visible, and it starts to become one that is recognized in industries that it spills over into other industries. So 40% of my clients don't fall into either one of those author or real estate professional categories. And that's purely because my brand has become so much more visible in those categories. But when I got clear on those categories, that's when it helped me to know, who am I talking to, right? So I could say the same thing to a real estate agent and an author and a small business owner, but I'm able to craft the message in a way that is going to add value to that particular demographic. So I'm not going to talk the same way, right, to an author that I am going to a real estate professional.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that in working with my authors, I ask them, who are you writing this book for?
Exactly.
And it cannot be everybody. So we drill down to that one person. Mm-hmm. And when they know their message to that one person, then they will attract the many one persons that fit that criteria, that this description that you put together, that who that person is. And because if otherwise we go too many different directions, there's no way to serve adequately and serve in the right way unless we really get clear on who we're talking to.
And, it doesn't mean that that's the only one, right? You could potentially have more than one, but it's just really important to understand who is it that you are talking to. The case study that I always bring up is when I was living back in Los Angeles, and there was a chiropractor that hired me to help him with his social media. And my first question to him is, well, who's your target market? Who's your perfect client? And he looked at me hello, you don't know what I do? Back, neck, spine. I'm like, okay, great. So basically everybody. And that was why his social media marketing wasn't working for him. So we spent some time looking at the exercise that I usually recommend to my clients is look at the top 10 customers that you have and kind of start to look at some consistencies that you're finding in there. Are you seeing consistencies in age or race or profession or income or geographical area? And that'll kind of start to help you right there sort of start to craft that niche market. And with the chiropractor, we discovered that he had actually been treating women between the ages of 55 and 75 that were suffering from fibromyalgia. So that took him from everybody to a very specific niche, right? So then he put together an unlimited $100 a month treatment for women with fibromyalgia. We were able to use the top social media platforms to get in front of that demographic and drive traffic to that landing page for them to be able to sign up. And he tripled his business in 90 days. Now, again, I didn't take away from him marketing to everybody walking around with a spine, but what I did is I helped him actually see some return on his efforts because we got really clear. Then you can craft the message, right? Again, it's like you don't say the same thing to one market that you're going to say to the other, but what you're wanting, when you understand who the market is, then you can communicate, look, I get you so much that I understand your pain. I understand your problem. And this is how I can help you with that particular challenge or whatever it is that you're dealing with. And you don't need to talk about the kind of the how you're going to do it. They just want to know that their life is going to be better or different or have some sort of unique experience as a result of working with you. So Lisa Sasevich always has this great thing where she says, you're never going to see a commercial about the plane ride to Hawaii, right? It's always going to be toes in the sand with the drink with the umbrella in it. You want to kind of talk about what is their life going to be like as a result. The women at the chiropractor could have been strung up by their ankles for all they cared. They just knew that he was a resource that had a solution and that their life was going to be better. You know, there were times that I even went as far as like, you're going to have better sex. You know, this fibromyalgia is preventing you from doing this and this and this and this. Wouldn't you love to have a life that looks like this and this and this? And they're like, yes, you know. So again, they don't really care how he got them there. They just wanted what he was saying he could do for them. And so that's not a conversation that you can have with everybody. You got to get really clear on who is that demographic and what's the specific need that that demographic has. And then you can go into things like LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook. So addressing your LinkedIn comment, the benefit also of knowing who is then you get to think about who are the other businesses that might already have a relationship with this particular demographic. And that's the power of LinkedIn. So for the chiropractor guy, right, that scenario, we were then able to connect him with anybody that was working with we went to yoga studios. We did all of the types of businesses that we felt the women with fibromyalgia. We even went to physicians that were helping with that because they complemented what he did for them. You know, and isn't it wonderful if these businesses can say to their customer base, I'm going to add value to you because I'm going to introduce you to another professional that I know is going to complement what you are ultimately trying to do. But how do you find professionals if you're trying to be everything to everybody?
You can't. You simply can't.
Exactly. So, you know, you for me, I go into LinkedIn and I connect with book publishers, right? Because I work with authors, you work with authors. So that's the real power in the use of LinkedIn is connecting with other professionals that already have a relationship with that consumer that you're wanting to potentially get in front of.
That's
now, the Facebook and the Instagram side is a little bit different because those are what we call the B2C or the B2 consumer, business to consumer type tools. LinkedIn is more that B2B, which is your business to business. That's sort of like the professional networking platform. But in Facebook and Instagram, you can absolutely find your consumer there. So the women with suffering from fibromyalgia, back then Instagram really wasn't around because this was like 2011, 2012. So we were really all about Facebook. But here's the beautiful thing with Facebook and Instagram is because Instagram is now owned by Facebook, Facebook is spending millions of dollars gathering data on their community so that they are profiling every single individual user so that they know what are the interests of those users. They're spending all those money. We now have a platform that we can get into and take advantage of all of this work that these platforms are doing so that if we do want to get in front of women with fibromyalgia, the algorithm formula that's running behind the scenes is like, got it. I've already been profiling. I've already done all the work.
What an amazing time that we're living in that they can do that. Yeah.
Right. But if you're trying to be everything to everybody, it's not going to work for you because here's what doesn't happen. The algorithm that is in Facebook and Instagram that's running behind the scenes, it doesn't profile on everybody, right? No. It profiles very specific types of individuals, and it's doing that based on the activity of each user in those particular platforms. So for Facebook, for example, the pages they like, the posts they like and comment and share, so that over time that algorithm can get a really good sense of what each individual Facebook user considers that something of value. So the example I always use is Sally, the Facebook user who loves watching the cute puppy videos. So the algorithm's like, great, I know exactly what Sally likes. So what the algorithm does is it goes and it scans the millions of Facebook business pages that are out there, looking for business pages that produce cute puppy videos so that it can literally just organically start to show those cute puppy videos to Sally to keep Sally happy. Because that's Facebook's number one priority is to keep the user community happy.
Keep them happy, keep them there.
Right. And so it's doing all this work to profile and monitor the activity so that it knows, oh, this is exactly what this user likes. This is what'll keep this user happy. And so the advantage of using Facebook right now and being really clear on who is it that you want to get your message in front of, then you can get the algorithm to actually become sort of an extension of your marketing team, because you're telling the algorithm, there's 5 questions that you need to make sure that your business page is answering. Who you are, what you do, how you do it, who you do it for, and where you do it. The where you do it is important if your business is very, geocentric. Mm-hmm. And that's the information that it's going to your business page and scanning and looking and finding all of the areas that it goes to. There's 4 areas the algorithm goes and looks at on your business page to get those 5 answers. And so if you're packing in all of the answers and keywords to those questions, you're making your job and the algorithm job's a lot easier, right? Because then it goes, got it. I know exactly what you do. Your cute puppy videos. Now I'm going to start showing your content to Sally, because I can match up your page with a demographic and a user that has an interest in what it is that you have to offer.
Pretty fascinating. There's there's an art to understanding all of this, but it's also the fact that we have all of this right at our disposal if we know how to use it. So. Right. In the interest of those that are listening and making sure that we're not taking too much of the time, because we know that everybody's really, really busy, how would somebody reach out to you and work with you?
Thank you. Actually, my website is behindyourcurtain.com, and I have opened up my calendar right now, and I'm offering free consultations to anybody right now that wants to get together with me, have me take a look at their social media platforms, talk about, what's their strategy, do they understand who their niche market is, and really just kind of help them see how they can really maximize the use of their social media platforms during this particular time.
Very good. So if anybody's listening or will listen to this later, be sure and tap into check out Karen and go to her website, behindyourcurtain.com, but also schedule a free time with her, a free discovery call, because she's helped us with Spotlight Publishing to get everything consistent. In fact, we had a whole team of my mastermind of publishers that looked at, they were talking about LinkedIn, and they went to my page and they go, yours is the best of all of ours.
Oh, yay. That's great. Yeah, you went through my facelift program. Right. So I was able to go in and really kind of optimize your pages and make them look really, really good. Yeah.
So you did an excellent job for us. And Karen does offer, in fact, in some of my packages, Karen, we've included her services in some of the packages for the authors, but she has several different levels of packaging. Some is done with you and done for you. And then she also has some where you can, you just learn from her training and you start implementing them yourself. So take advantage of that and learn how to use your social media in a way that's going to be powerful for you. Karen, this has been a delightful interview, and I wish we could just go on and on. Right.
As you can tell, I can. Thanks so much, Becky.
Yeah. So thank you for the time today. And for those that are listening, take advantage of this offering from Karen, and realize that there's a world of knowledge, to be gained from really understanding how to implement the social medias in all the different ways that we can, and how to use it powerfully and to where it's not also overtaking you, because you want to use it efficiently as well. Yeah. Thank you, Karen, for this awesome
My pleasure.
interview.
Thanks so much, Becky. Take care. Be healthy and safe out there.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.